welcome to the Animal Training Academy Making Ripples podcast show, the show where we share the stories of the ripple-making extraordinaires with behavior nerd superpowers who make up the Animal Training Academy membership. I'm your host and one of the happiness engineers at Animal Training Academy, Shelley Wood from Drop Your Jaws Dog Training in Cape Girardeau, Missouri in the United States. We're absolutely thrilled and grateful to have you here with us today. Make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss a single episode. This show is brought to you on behalf of the Animal Training Academy membership. So if you like the conversations in these episodes, then we want to invite you to continue them with like-minded people in the ATA membership, which you can find out more about at www.atamember.com. Within the membership, you can get access to twice monthly live web classes, the back catalog of previous web class replays, plus a huge library of videos and projects to help you problem solve your training challenges. And we're a sociable bunch with an exclusive private Facebook group and forums area. It's like a Netflix social media platform for animal behavior geeks. Today we welcome Anat Shalev to the show. Anat is a horse trainer living and learning alongside 5 horses, 2 dogs, 5 cats, 6 chickens, an 11-year-old kid, and a supportive husband. After years working as a therapeutic riding instructor, Anat discovered positive reinforcement training in 2008 while looking for ways to help her so-called, quote, dangerous mare. Anat founded HorseFriendship in 2015, an educational program aimed at teaching behavior principles and positive reinforcement training to local horse people. The program brings experts from different areas of expertise, among which are Peggy Hogan and Susan Friedman. Both made a huge impact on Anat's own learning journey, providing students with training skills and a broad understanding of behavior in the hope of spreading knowledge and shifting the local horse scene towards a more compassionate, Lima-based approach to horse training and care. As a teacher and trainer, Anat is passionate about broadening horses' degrees of choice, control, and cooperation within medical and husbandry care. Anat is fascinated by human and horse learning processes and where interspecies interactions influence all involved, awakening curiosity, new insights, and joy. Other than teaching and training, Anat also works as a UI designer, visualizing data and designing user interfaces for complex medical systems, helping users navigate and accomplish their goals with ease and accuracy. Anat, welcome to the Animal Training Academy Making Ripples podcast show. We're super excited to have you here with us today.
I'm happy and excited and curious where this talk will take us.
I am all of those things as well. So thank you for joining us today. Before we even get started on some of our questions for today, I just wanted to mention that I recently had the opportunity to watch you working on one of the Clicker Expo presentations. You were working with your beautiful pony Geronimo and just saw some amazing training. So it was great to see you on that web class with Peggy Hogan.
Thank you. It was an exciting adventure, and it's an opportunity to say that Peggy is an important person in my education, in how I train. We've known for many years as a teacher, a mentor, a friend, and I'm actually not sure if humbled and honored that she asked me to join the presentations, the Clicker Expo presentation. It was such an adventure to go through all this. I don't know. This experience. Yeah, that's the word. So this was a great experience, and I had also some opportunities to teach alongside Peggy, and she's, as you said in my bio, she's every year invited to teach my students, and she's an amazing trainer, and I'm lucky to be able to have met her.
Wonderful. I agree. She is an amazing trainer, and I always love watching the offerings that she puts out there so that people can learn from her. I would also add that you are an amazing trainer, and I am lucky to have been able to see just a little bit of that on the expo presentation that I was able to watch. Very, very cool training you were doing with Geronimo, and I'm excited to watch some of the other, I believe you were in a couple of those on Clicker Expo, maybe with her. So if so, I'm excited to watch more. And if not, I'm excited to see your training in other places because there were wonderful. It was really, really great, interesting, and good training to watch. Were there a few of those presentations that you were on, or was it just the one?
It's 3 presentations, one on start buttons, one on default attention behavior, and another one on movement. All really exciting themes and interesting. And yes, Geronimo, thank you for mentioning him. He's a big, little. I mean, he's a pony, so he's little, but he is a big little teacher also. That I'm really. Well, I'm in love with this little guy, but I'm also learning from him every day, and the rest of the gang that is out there. So.
All right. Wonderful. Well, I'm excited to hear more about Geronimo and the rest of the gang as we chat today. I have a feeling that we'll be learning from all of your crew a little bit today. What kinds of things are you working on with your animals right now? Are you training Geronimo anything new at the moment?
They always drive me to train some things, but actually right now my main focus is I have another pony named Pipo, and he has some health issues that we're trying to solve, and it needs so. We're doing, every day we're doing a lot of prep for medical procedures because he needs a lot of blood draw, very frequent, and urine samples. But I also, so we do a lot of that with the ponies, but I'm also enjoying when we work on training is to develop some to look at movement. I love behaviors that you can train and that have some sort of a component of self-reinforcing. Some behaviors that I always say that the medical behaviors, I can teach my animals to learn to cooperate and to be excited from the opportunity to be with me and do stuff together. But the actual behaviors would never be intrinsically rewarding. It's something that we do, but there are, at least with horses, a lot of movement can be, there is joy. What is joy? I can't say that they are joyful. This is something that I can only observe, but I will be able to observe that they are less interested in external reinforcement treats, and we can. So this is another something I'm different ways of exploring movement with the horses, which I really enjoy, and it's endless because it's like for us exercise. You can never finish with yoga or with Pilates, or I don't know, whatever people do. There is always a level of new or more ability or more flexibility, more. So this is what we do.
Thank you for sharing that with me, or with all of us today. I actually that really resonates with me right now. I actually just posted in the Animal Training Academy Facebook group this morning asking people about specific reinforcement delivery procedures that they have trained involving toys or play with their dogs, because that's something I'm really interested in exploring with my puppy at the moment. And it really kind of reminds me of what you're talking about right now. You know, we can teach a wide variety of behaviors, and some of those behaviors are things that we're teaching using arbitrary kind of reinforcement like food in the moment, you know, and we can still build happy, wonderful, fluent behaviors that way. But it's also kind of cool to focus on those things that we're making the assumption based on our observation that our animals already love, and building those
and
things.
You see a lot of enthusiasm. I mean, high speed with horses. This is so exciting because, I mean, I could never be as fast as they are, but I can bypass that with recalls or with sending them, and it's a joy to see them. I'm just now in the morning. I went out. It's not actually a training situation, but we're going out a lot for hikes again as part of well-being. You know, I don't have a huge paddock, and my horses live, 24/7 outside. And yet, here in Israel, we don't have grazing opportunity, or our space is limited. So we go out a lot on hikes, and I live in a rural area, but it's more agriculture, and now they just I hope I'm saying it right in English. They just mow or cut the oat fields, and they and the oat is arranged in huge piles, so we get a huge area for jumping, and we just run and jump, and I can send. I went out today with Geronimo, and I'm amazed with how he enjoyed that, because I can send him and he'll jump like 4 piles. And then instead of, I usually would cue him to stop and wait, but I'll cue him to come back. And, I can have these long chains based on, I feel that part of his joy is the actual behaviors that he offers. So it's fun to watch and be part of.
I'm sure it is fun to watch. It's fun to even just listen to you talking about it. I can visualize it, and it definitely seems like a wonderful piece of your day, those hikes with your horses to that wonderful area where you all get to enjoy yourselves. Could you share a little bit with us, Anat, about your quote unquote day job? Is it UI designing work? And maybe just a little bit about what that entails, and if you see any overlap between that and animal training or vice versa.
Right. It's so weird because I'm so happy you got me to talk about it, because it's like my life is usually divided. And in animal training, or even my students, not all of them, they don't always know. I tell them, but nobody register the fact that I do something else. And the same in the UI world, it's not, most people don't know that I'm a horse trainer. And so I'm kind of enjoying the fact that it can be combined, because I feel it is connected. It's what I do is I design. So most of the work, or the output of my work, is graphic output, graphic look, or applications. It's not applications. It's more medical systems that I work on, but it's based on a thinking process of how my users is usually doctors or nurses or people that work in the hospital, how they behave, their workflow, how to make it easy. Usually they need to, the systems that I work on give them a lot of that data, sometimes different kind of data. Sometimes and I need to translate it in a way that will be available and easy to use. And I need to think of, so for me, it's very similar thinking about, because it's all behavior, right? Or learning. And I guess the reinforcing part is to get it right, for people to succeed, because they need to do something. So I feel it's there is a lot of parallels.
Yeah, I think so. And it definitely sounds like there are a lot of parallels to me. It sounds like you've maybe, if I'm understanding correctly, spend a good bit of your time as a UI designer looking for the right approximations to break things down into so that people can understand them and get it right?
Right. Approximations, and also understanding the history of their knowledge, like so we're a history of their experience, right? Because we know that we are all behaving based on past experiences. So I'm trying to learn who is this user that I need to help behave, and based on his past experience, he usually has a cell phone, so he knows how to. There is some sort of assumption on the world that are now, like, compared to 10 years ago, I can make. And so, yes, sometimes it's approximation, sometimes it's more based on past experience, and
And maybe also sometimes, after you mentioned that about based on past experience, I'm wondering also sometimes if it's, do you ever work with the individual when you're working, or are you working more for a group of people as you're working as a UI designer? Does that make sense? Are you having to tweak things for the individual in front of you, or are you making plans for larger groups of people?
I wish it was one individual. It's a larger group, so I need to have some assumptions. But and it's also about how to not to flood them. Not to flood them with too much information and too much options. Because when you're designing to not to one person but to persons, then everybody says, well, he likes it on a dark background, or he is used to doing his work this and that way, and it can get us to have a lot of solutions, which sometimes you can see in application where you use, and you feel that there are too many options, because right, like when we want to give our animals choice, but if we give them too much choice, it's actually can be confusing, or even create freezing instead of helping you make a choice. It's not the right choice, but it's your choice. So it's also understanding. Although I design for groups, what is to fit to different types of learners, but and yet and still not flood them with too much possibilities of behaving.
That's really interesting, and makes me immediately think of kind of group classes where we're working with people and their animals, and see some parallels there. Do you see parallels there as well with the people that you work with?
Yes. Yes, it's interesting because when I teach, I do try to I do understand, and I see learners, human learners, that come with different strengths and abilities to. I mean, some people need to actually practice. Some people need to hear or write down, and so it is interesting. I'm not sure if from that it's a different. It's. I mean, I could use the same principle or concept, but in my UI work, it boils down to something that is a visualization of this data or this. I mean, we it's the interface, and with my student, it's more about finding the right thing that they need to be a better trainers, and also hearing their wishes. I mean, I'm trying to with my student. I have a program. It's a very long program. It's 5.5 months long, and I have an agenda which I want to teach, but I want to help people reach their own goal, which could be different. So also to find the hidden, I don't know if it's a hidden journey or a hidden, maybe it's not hidden, but their own request, their own uniqueness or their own strength. I always, at the beginning of a class, I'm always curious to see where will they take these tools. I mean, this is it's actually, I feel really lucky. I meet so many great people and kind and brave because it's not easy. I mean, here, at least in Israel, it's still very, for horse people, it's still not it's far from the norm. To apply positive reinforcement training. So I feel I meet brave and open people, and I'm lucky. I'm lucky to be able to help them. I learn from them. So
that makes total sense. And if I'm kind of hearing what you're saying correctly, it sounds like maybe with your students and the classes that you teach, you have more of an opportunity to get to know the individuals on a more individual level and
right.
Tweak things based on that relationship.
Right.
Whereas
actually a study of one more. This is the part of a study of one. If we're going back to animal training and Susan's jumps, just I guess for many of us, and as you read, she's a big influence on me too. So yes, this is with my student. I always see them as ponies. Some of them are more challenging ponies, and some of them are just other ponies. I hope they don't hear it and discover that I always imagine them with fur and mane.
I love it. That's great. I'm sure they wouldn't mind if you were imagining them with fur and a mane. Hopefully they will hear it. Okay, great. I love that. So I think in my mind, the same principle of don't flood still applies, whether you're talking about your UI folks or the people that you're working with in groups, but you have the luxury of being able to kind of tweak things, like you said, as Dr. Friedman would say, to that study of one level with the people you're working with. Great. Real quick, there was something in your bio that caught my attention. So before we move on to our next question, I wondered if you could tell us what therapeutic horsemanship is. I think you said in the bio that you spent some time as a therapeutic riding instructor. Yes. Right. And I have an idea in my head of what that is, but I could be way off base. So I'm hoping you would share with us a little bit about that.
Sure. it's I don't do that anymore, but it's the practice of helping people through therapeutic activities with horses. I mean, today I think they even call it, some of the places, EA, equine assisted therapy, EAT, or activities and therapies, because I think even this occupation is moving a little bit further to understanding that it's more than just sitting on the horse's back, but mainly it was developed from the benefits of riding. So people sit on a horse. It started out with physical patients that the three-dimensional movement of the horse, it moved them in a way that helped them restore some of the like walking patterns, or even remind the body, or even something like a therapeutic effect. Although when I did work as a therapeutic riding instructor, I worked mainly with mental patients, mostly with PTSD, but I stopped riding altogether about 11 years ago. I don't ride my horses, and before that, I started changing the way I did the therapy. I mean, I didn't work at my home, but I worked at as how do you say, not as in somebody else's farm. So even there, I tried to make changes, because I started seeing how horses actually, in a lot of these places, it's kind of the horse are people love their horses. I'm now not trying to be judgmental, but the horses are not benefiting, to say the least. And some of them are very sad horses. Actually, two of my horses are horses that I freed from a therapeutic horse facility that I worked at. One of them was given to me when he wasn't. It wasn't financially. It didn't make sense to keep him because he kept throwing patients off. He was an amazing horse. He would tolerate every rider, but at some point he just couldn't handle that anymore. And I'm lucky to have him. Have another guy who didn't fit to the program. Anyway, so horses, bottom line, horses suffer. I mean, I see a lot of suffering in many of those places. They shut down, and because people don't understand. I mean, it's I don't understand the needs of the horses. So horses are usually in a lot of these facilities, at least in Israel, are locked in stalls, which are, little cages that are called stalls. But it's actually, when you look at what horses need, it's like keeping a dog in a crate all day long and then taking him out only for, and all the equipment is based on aversive. And so this is where I was, but there was always some conflict there, but it took a long time till I opened up and changed. And actually, it was with the help of my mare, who I raised from a little foal. She was a 1-year-old filly when I got her, and now she is 18. This actually, I'm thinking, when will it be? She was just now this month she was 18. So we went through a lot, and I'm glad she led me to this unique journey. I mean, it's not only her. I mean, it's like the both of us, but she helped me see what horses are missing, and try to create for her a different reality, and then for the rest of my horses. And then I wanted to, and then I felt very, for many years, I took a big step away from all this horse world that I knew. And then suddenly I got people interested in what I do here locally. And I understood that I am actually really happy. I can share and teach others. And it's so funny that we're saying that, because just now, I mean, this next month, I was invited to give a lecture to in a set, two lectures for the Israeli Horse Riding Federation. It's actually unbelievable that they're thinking of giving me space and time, and I'm so glad. And I'm so glad it's now, because I feel now I can be more compassionate toward people who are still not here, and who are still treating horses differently. And I understand that they have their own experience. And again, we're behaving based on what we learned and what worked for us. And I hope to open up the possibilities that they can perceive to seeing horses and approaching horses. And so this has been a journey. It has been a journey, and I still don't ride my horses, although I help others train through positive reinforcement horses to be ridden. Again, I mean, it depends. I don't think it's evil, but I don't think all horses are meant to be ridden. It's actually something that for me was a wake-up call, because usually horses are, what are they for, right? So we'll sit on their back. It's kind of this animal that got this. It's not like the exotic animals that have now actually in zoos, they have really great, the better zoos are actually understanding a lot and working hard for enrichment, and pets are living in our house, and farm animals now, even in Israel, there are regulation on how many space they need, even for chickens and for cows. But horses are still kept in 3.5 meter little cages, and it looks okay to people. And I think it's actually good people. It's just that if you don't understand, and this is the norm. So this is about, right, making ripples. So I hope it's changing all over the world. So I hope this will reach out to more people. And yes, and when we'll start treating our animals differently, we'll start treating people differently too. So this is another thing that I hope will change in my country. But well, that's stop me, please, because I think we're kind of taking a different turn.
Ooh, I appreciate you sharing all of that. And yeah, I had no idea that my little question would take us there, but I'm so glad that it did. I think that's all just so much good stuff that you talked about right now. And you mentioned making ripples. I think you're making waves, Anat. And I'm so glad to get to learn about some of the ones that you're making. And so much that you said there, just so many great things. But one thing I wanted to just touch on briefly was the compassion for humans that I heard you talking about, and it reminded me, I listened to a piece of a live web class with Susan Friedman the other day that was an old ATA web class, I think. And what did she say? Thinking about people as they're just me with different information. They're just me with different information right now, and that's kind of what I heard. And I could have got that wrong, but I think that's the gist of what she was saying. And I think it's kind of the gist of what you were saying right now as well. So wonderful to hear that.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing all of that. And also for me, personally, I'll just say it's really interested to hear your take on the therapeutic writing. And I'm involved in some animal assisted interventions. And so some of the thing for people, mostly with dogs, but some of the things that you were saying, are things that are not unique, I don't think, to the horse world. When we see what wonderful things that other animals have to offer people, it's also very important for us to remember what we need to be able to give to the animals as well, to make sure that all of their needs are met. So it was interesting hearing you talk a little bit about that. I appreciate you sharing it with us today.
Yeah, and actually animals can heal us. I mean, there is something about them that connects us, I don't know, or help. I mean, I know they do that for me, and I'm sure it's possible. Actually, I know people that are now working with horses in a different way, and that's and can help people enjoy this opportunity to reconnect to themselves, or to find ways to heal, or find joy and empowerment through horses. But and I guess animals is all, I mean, because there is something about that we're missing now in general in our life, right? We're so we're drowning in all this equipment. I mean, not equipment, I don't know, say screens or whatever, virtual words. So they help us reconnect to reality. So, and much more. But again, just like you said, it's about making sure it's not on their, they don't pay for our healing, that they benefit from that, because I'm sure it can be working both ways.
Yeah, I think just like training all of our interactions with others, people, and different animals as well. I think it's important to remember it's a reciprocal relationship, right? It's a two-way street, or we want it to be, it should be. So wonderful. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk about all of that this morning. I think I kind of threw a curveball at you with that one, but I'm glad that I did. I love where it went. But I'm hoping that now we could move into the part of the show where we talk a little bit about some of the specific training that you are doing or have done, and that you would now maybe share with us about a recent training-related challenge. It could be one you're in the middle of right now, or one you've already worked through, but a recent training-related challenge that you've experienced, how you worked through that challenge, and maybe tell us some things that you've learned about that process, or learned through that process as well.
Well, I hope it was a challenge for me. I'm not sure. Let's see how it evolves. It's actually my youngest pony that has he has a condition, a metabolic condition. It's called IR. It's insulin resistant. It's some sort of a parallel to metabolic. And he's been, we've been through his physical issues that, how do you say, introject, or from that metabolic issues, there's a lot of other complications. And I got to train him for so many medical behaviors or procedures. And right now he had a setback that, but I found out that there is a medication that I can give him, but we need to monitor his urine. And this is the one thing I didn't think I'll need to train any animal. I guess now it looks to me like, oh my God, I need to train it, but more. But so this was a kind of a good challenge. That I because it was like unique, and it got me to sit and observe and try to find, patterns. You're trying to. I was trying to find patterns I can. I ran out of the word. It's when you want capture, so I can capture. So some kind of pattern I can capture, or understand when and where he pees as a basic. There are couple of components to that. First of all, him feeling comfortable with me being around while he's peeing, and he's very comfortable touching me touching him all over. But this was a new situation, and I didn't know how he will react. And he's this little guy that I always felt that I never saw him pee. There are some horses that it's easier, and also horses that live in stalls. They pee in the, you put some wood shavings, but my horses live outside. They have stalls, but they are open stalls, and we don't have wood shavings. We have sand where they like to lie down, and it's very sandy area where I live. So there isn't any one space. Anyway, so it was hard for me to find a pattern. And then I went into trying to think, okay, maybe I need to get him to drink more. And so it was interesting just to investigate, just to sit and observe and try to find patterns, and also go into horse juice. What do you give to a diabetic horse? I can't give him sweet, but what kind of teas? I made herb teas for him to get him to drink more. So I'll have more occurrences of him peeing. So this was, but after figuring out what he likes to drink, I kind of managed to find a routine where if I give him, it was actually very simple at the end, where I have about 20 minutes or half an hour in the morning after he drinks his alfalfa juice, and then he pees. And actually the part of him being comfortable of me and being very near him was not that of an issue. So this is a solved mystery, but it got me into a lot of fun, just hanging around the horses and observing them. I missed that. I didn't have that opportunity in a long time, and actually my horses dragged me into a lot of training within this time. So it was fun, and the challenge was mostly because it was unfamiliar behavior that I didn't think I'll need to predict when my horse pees, and how to catch that in midstream. So
that's a really interesting challenge to hear about, and sounds like it put your observational skills to use. So very, very cool. And had some side benefits with other training going along with it as well. Is that, and you might have said this when you first started talking about this, but is that, are urine samples something you're going to be needing from that horse on a regular basis? Or, so that's going to have to happen frequently.
Yeah, it monitors how much sugar goes out. This is a unique, not unique, but relatively new medication that I think it's only been a year for horses, that it's kind of experimental, and there's more sugar coming out in his. I'll need more blood samples also, so more frequent blood samples, but also frequent urine samples, because we monitor how much sugar is in his pee. It's the indication that the medication is working.
Well, I'm really glad that you were able to work through that challenge, especially since this is something that's going to have to happen on a regular basis. So that's really good that you were able to accomplish that. What about, in addition to that one, what about a training situation that you're proud of? Do you have a training situation that you're proud of that you could share with us this morning?
I wonder if proud and reinforced is... How close are they? Because, so I think there are a lot of things that I'm happy I was either able to help people and horses learn, but the thing I'm reinforced most, I think, maybe it's not very complicated training, but it's like it's going out with my ponies and they have really cool behaviors. When going out, it developed as actually I have another pony with other physical issues. I collect them based on how physically challenging we can go, where we can go with that. It's actually, they are the most unique and unbelievably amazing creatures. So I have another guy who has issues with his hind legs. It's called locking stifle. And since he came to live with us when he was a young colt, his leg used to catch. It's like his I'm showing you, and nobody will be able to see it, but his stifles would catch. I mean, the horses can sleep standing, and there is this little mechanism that locks their legs. But in his case, his legs would lock, and he couldn't bend them. And part of the rehabilitation for him, I mean, now nobody would know that he had this issue, thank God, is that they need to learn to use different patterns of movement, and also to be physically fit. And we went through a lot of things, what we can do, a lot of training adventures went on, because I wanted to help this little guy with his issues with his legs. Wonderful challenges with training, but going out, I'm trying to be focused on your question. So going out, we need to hike a lot. We almost every other day, or what we do usually is every other day. And he learned to, so he can, and I don't go out with my horses with a halter. I just put a neck rope on them, and they put the rope on their back, and they can just go freely. I mean, we're either walking, it's a very intense walk. We're most of the time really together. We're just like synchronized movement, or I can send them forward, and then I can ask for a stop, and they will wait for me. And I have recalls. So there's a kind of couple of behaviors in there that I've trained or we've trained together, because they're big part of it is things that I could capture that they offered, and I elaborated or shaped based on that. And so it's kind of like a little girl's dream, you know. You want to go out with your ponies and no tack and nothing, and they'll just, you know, I people meet us when we are out, and they're saying to me, "Oh, this is a big dog," and I always tell them. I mean, I have my other dogs go out with us, and I always tell them that he is the best behaved dog I have. Whichever. So yes, this is fun and reinforcing. And although we do it so often, I mean, with Geronimo and also with with my other pony, it's always reinforcing. It's always fun, and it's I'm grateful every time he stops. I'm kind of like, oh my God, he did stop. I can't believe it. So it used to be that I like this, like he would canter or gallop long distance and I could shout. I mean, I have a horrible cue. I have a cue that is very long. It's one sentence. It's like, Geronimo, ani me'achorecha. I'm not sure which part of that long sentence he actually hears, but whatever. It works, and then later on, I wanted to. Our challenge was: can I train him to stop on his own? I mean, not only when I'm cueing him to stop. I wanted him to stop every time he would go into a corner or a crossroad, or so. I was looking for ways. So now he can. It's a behavior I can cue, or he can offer. And a recall is a super important behavior to have, and very reinforcing. So all this going out skills, I call them going out skills. So this is, I guess I'm proud of it. I'm not sure if proud is the word I would choose, but I love it, and I'm grateful.
Well, you have just changed the future question for the Making Ripples podcast show to asking people to share about a behavior they've trained that is reinforcing for them. That's what a great way to put it. And you can tell that this behavior training, this was indeed very reinforcing for you, as you talk about all the other going out behaviors that you've added to it and trained as well. So that's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. And talking to you is very reinforcing for me. I could keep chatting about all of the things that we've been talking about today, and have lots more questions and things that I would like to ask you about. And I'm sure this conversation will be reinforcing to the listeners who will want to know more about you in the future too. So for those listeners, if somebody would want to reach out to you, we will, of course, link to all of your information in the show notes. But do you want to tell folks how they could get a hold of you if they wanted to reach out to you or see any of the offerings that you might have for teaching or training online or otherwise?
So to actually reach out for me, it's the easiest is probably through my Facebook Messenger or my Facebook page. And I also have my program has a website. It's called HorseFriendship. You'll have it written. I mean, so I guess you can see there or contact me through there. That's the easiest.
Okay, thank you. And Anat, thank you for taking the time. I said this morning earlier, who knows what time it is for people who are listening, but it certainly is not morning for you. It's morning for me right now. But thank you for taking the time today to sit down and talk with us. It's been just a ton of fun for me. And so from myself and on behalf of everybody listening today, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing a bit about your world with us and the ripples that you're spreading.
Thank you. It was fun for me and I enjoyed it. So yeah, thank you.
We do, of course, appreciate all of you tuning in as well. And if you have enjoyed this episode and are interested in carrying on the conversation about working with the animals in our lives in the most positive, most fun, and most choice-rich ways, then as mentioned at the start of this episode, the Animal Training Academy community is waiting for you. Head on over to www.atamember.com and click on the membership button in the main menu to learn more about what members are describing as the Netflix social media platform for behavior geeks. That's it for this episode, though. Thank you so much for listening. You'll hear from us again soon.